Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. We thought we'd start from the very beginning with our more serious chats about falling pregnant with Addie, the twins, both pregnancies compared to each other, and going through IVF, the failed round of IUI, how we felt during that time and going through secondary infertility. And then we will get on to the girls' NICU journey and their story as well. For Adelyn, we were trying for about a year. So we got married in August 2013. We started trying at the end of that year. Then nothing kind of happened month after month. Just waiting for that positive test and it never came. So I decided to compete in fitness. I wanted something to distract me from having a baby, and I suppose it worked in a way. So I was the fittest I ever was. I finished my bulk, I suppose you call it. So I was the heaviest, but the fittest that I had been for a long time.
Heaviest but leanest.
Yeah, heaviest but leanest.
We had thought after trying for probably 6 months or so that we'd wait for a year and then perhaps go and
get some testing done.
Get some tests, make sure everything was in order. But then pretty much bang on a year.
Ta-da!
Shazam.
Adelyn was conceived. I'm not going to go into that detail. On the 13th of January, we got our first positive pregnancy test. That was pretty exciting. I still kind of remember that moment in our rental house. I'm trying to think what to say. That's how speechless I was. I took it into Justin and I just couldn't believe it. Like, it was a miracle almost after a whole year.
After so long having failed tests.
Yeah.
You're coming in like, is this a line?
Yeah, is it a line? Is it a line? Are you sure? Is it real? I think I better test again tomorrow. So we did, and I tested for the next 3 days because it was a 3-day box of tests and they were all positive. So after the doctors we went, got the first ultrasound at 8 weeks, and the estimated due date was the 22nd of September 2015.
So you had a pretty smooth pregnancy, I think. Didn't get too much morning sickness or anything. You were able to keep training.
Yeah.
I mean, you already had a great diet from your comp prep, so that pretty much kept that up.
Yeah.
Kept working, kept active.
Well, what I did like was Vegemite on crumpets. I'm a thing for Vegemite all the time, but more so when I'm pregnant. Vegemite crumpets, yeah, it just revs up. I don't know what it is, the salt. It's delicious. Anyway. We're building
So
a
probably
house.
a few months into that, we started building a house as well.
This house?
Our house.
Our house.
Which went fairly smoothly. We managed to move in
3 weeks.
3 weeks before Addie's due date, which was cutting it pretty fine.
Yes, because we knew Addie could come anytime, so we were painting, we were trying to rush everything, get it all done so we could move in, because we didn't want to have Adelyn in the rental and then have to move with a newborn. That would just be too much work. But luckily she didn't come until 40 weeks and 2 days. She was overdue. She didn't want to evacuate. It was too comfy in there.
So she was pretty much a model pregnancy.
Yeah.
Wasn't she?
There was nothing wrong. I think I had 2 days of migraines, then I went home sick from work. Otherwise I was able to train and work until the last moment I could, really. I did finish work a little bit earlier because of the move and we wanted to get everything organised. But besides that, everything was fine.
The possibility of Addie being premature never even really occurred to us.
Having a premature baby at all?
No, it was just not something that even crossed our minds.
No, never. Never.
Pretty smooth sailing, really.
Yes, so that's Addie's pregnancy. Quite easy, considering what our bodies go through when we are pregnant, and I really enjoyed it. I probably took it for granted a bit too much though, because when the twins came along, obviously I didn't get that chance to enjoy it as long as I did with Addie. It felt like it was cut really short, which it was. Comparing Addie's pregnancy to the twins' pregnancy, we started trying for baby number 2 at 8 weeks after Addie was born, because we knew it may take another year for it to happen, with how long it took for Addie.
I think I'll admit though, because we had then had Addie, we thought, great, it'll be easy this time, and it'll be, you're full pregnant in 3 months and it'll be sweet after.
Like everyone else was doing. They'd have their first, and then within the next 3-4 months they'd be pregnant with the second one. And it was hard to hear that from other friends and family that were pregnant in between.
It was more disheartening after Addie, because we were expecting it to happen easier, and then month after month it wasn't working out. But other people who had had their kids around Addie's time, they were falling pregnant again, and pretty weary, draining.
Yeah, very draining. I'm gonna cry thinking about it. It's not something to take lightly. Just because we did fall pregnant naturally with Addie doesn't necessarily mean we can fall pregnant again naturally. After 18 months, we went and got some tests done with the doctors before we were referred off to an IVF clinic. During that time, we found out I have low AMH, which is a test for the amount of eggs. So it's a test for a hormone that shows you the amount of eggs you've got left in your ovaries, pretty much, isn't it?
Basically, yeah.
So I've pretty much got nothing. So each month after month, I could have been ovulating, but no egg could have been getting released.
Didn't they compare it to a woman going through menopause?
Yeah, that's how many eggs I had, and that was
pretty shocking to hear when you were 27, 26, maybe at the time.
Yeah.
To hear that you've got as many eggs as a 50-year-old woman.
50, 60-year-old woman plus.
Yeah, pretty heartbreaking news. But I guess the silver lining was that there were still eggs, just not many.
Yeah.
So that was why they sent us straight off to the clinic to try and get onto it, sort of thing.
Before it was too late, because if we waited another couple of years, those eggs I had left may not be there anymore. They may have been released, but we weren't trying and it wasn't successful. We don't know. So in April, I think we started IUI. We did an IUI. So it's a more timed thing where I'm still on injections, so I still had to build enough follicles, have my hormones at a set level. I was still injecting every day. I still had to take a trigger injection to make sure I could be at the peak before that sperm was inserted. During those 2-week wait, we went down south and to try and relax, but it didn't really help, I suppose. We were quite stressed. During that time when we were down south, I think on the last day I got my period, so we knew it wasn't a success. It was so heartbreaking after everything we'd just gone through, even though it was only our first round and it wasn't IVF and it wasn't guaranteed to be successful. It still hurt a lot.
You still get your hopes up. Yeah, you think this is going to be it.
Because there was that intervention. It wasn't just us trying at home, it was medical science behind it, I guess. After that failed IUI round, we decided to jump ships to IVF.
That was under the doctor's recommendation as well. She thought it was more worth our time going straight to IVF than
wasting another month on another IUI that could be failed again. And the main thing, I suppose, as well, they said that if we wanted to have more than one kid in the future, then the best chance is to do IVF, because you could possibly get more frozen embryos than just one. Whereas an IUI,
you might fall pregnant and then it might be a year before you can try again. By then,
who knows how many eggs I would have had by then. So that was a selling point, really, I guess, for us, that we did want to have more than one more kid in the future.
That worked out, didn't
it? It did, but we never thought we'd have two for the price of one. Really, I guess that's what it was.
Got a bargain.
Got a bargain. But yeah, so we jumped ships to IVF. That was a hard month. More injections, more pain, more blood tests literally every second day, injections, I don't know, I think at one stage I was up to 4 times a day at one point.
Yeah, there was a lot.
And I had to do them all myself. I wanted to do them all myself as well to show that I was strong enough to go through this.
So Addie would always come and watch Mummy giving herself a needle.
Yeah. So we never hid anything from her. We explained the whole process to her, what we were going through, why we were doing it. I don't think she got it, really.
Oh no, well she would have been too young to understand, but we didn't want to
hide it from her. And she was so inquisitive. Like, she'd say when I was bleeding, she'd be like, "Oh Mummy, you're bleeding. Oh no, I have to make it better." And always she'd remind me to do my injections in the morning. And
have you had your needle today?
Have you had your needle today? It was really nice to have that support, not only from Justin, but from her as well. So during the round of IVF, all the blood tests you have, all the injections, then you have a trigger shot. So when the follicles build up enough and get to a good size, hopefully there's an egg in there. After the trigger shot, I think it was the next day or the next 2 days after the trigger shot, I went in for egg collection surgery. I was put under, so I didn't know what was going on. They collected 10 eggs, which was a lot more than I ever thought we were going to get, ever. I was expecting to come out with half that number of eggs.
It was quite a successful cycle, which was great news.
I remember sitting in the office feeling so dopey after that, and them telling me how many eggs, because someone said that they write the number of eggs they collected on your hand, because one of the other ladies in there had a number written on her hand, and I had no number. So I was freaking out, doped up, like not really with it, feeling so sick. But when we got into the office, she actually said we had 10, and it was such a relief that we had some, because I didn't have that number on my hand.
I remember that.
Yeah. After the egg collection, it was really quite sore and painful. I had to wait 5 days. So after that, they pretty much make the embryo under the microscope, see if it works, see how many eggs take. We had 5 take. One wasn't successful, one didn't make it to day 5, but the other 4 did make it to day 5. They all had their different gradings, and the one we transferred for the twins was the highest grading that it could be, so it was the best chance.
What are they called?
Possible. AA, I think that's what it was. AA, AB.
Struggle to remember now.
Yeah, there was different categories, that it had the right number of cells, it was the right size, it went to a certain day, things like that. And yeah, the twins were the #1 embryo choice for that round. So we have 3 left in the freezer?
Yep.
3 left in there now in case we do ever want to have any more kids. But after the twins, we will see how we go, because if I can just picture us transferring another one, and with the amount of hormones that were in my body and how my body reacted last time, and the embryo split on the day they transferred it, I don't think I could go through twins.
Twin boys?
No, no. Twins and NICU, again, with that risk that the same thing could possibly happen. Couldn't do it at this stage anyway. Found out we had a positive test on the 4th of September, so we were only 4 weeks when we found out. I didn't know whether or not to test. I thought I could possibly wait until the official blood test, but then it turns out I couldn't. I just wanted to know as soon as possible whether or not it was successful, we were pregnant or not. There was such a faint line on that day that
they warn you against doing your own tests because there's still so many hormones from the injections and everything going through.
From often the trigger shot.
False positives and that sort of thing, so you didn't really know what to think
when it was initially positive. But then I tested day after day for the next 5 days and the line got darker. So usually if it was residual hormones from the injection, it would get lighter and lighter. But ours went the other way and got darker. So we had I had the blood test that confirmed, yes, I was pregnant, and my HCG was something crazy high, but not high that everyone would expect twins. It was just higher than what it was with Addie from memory. I don't remember what the numbers were, but it was quite high. So the first scan we had was at 7 weeks, and we couldn't believe it. The lady, Addie, was with us. It was such a hectic scan. Addie was with us and we were so excited to see this little embryo in there with a heartbeat, hopefully. And as soon as she put the ultrasound thing on me, she's like, well, guys, and I just knew it. My heart sunk for a good thing, obviously, but yeah, she's like, there's 2 heartbeats. So she immediately changed it from 1 fetus to 2 and picked up both heartbeats. And I think
to start with, I was like, wow, that was pretty quick. You sure there's 2? Like, you're pretty certain you made that change so quickly. But yeah, it was pretty strange. I started laughing.
We both started laughing, crying. I didn't know what to do.
Addie's, what's going on? She's charging around playing with matches or something.
And then she started crying because she was upset because I was crying. And it was just hectic as. But there was 2 heartbeats. They both were measuring perfectly at the first scan. And it was pretty exciting. So the lady said they were MCDA twins, so from 1 embryo that had split into 2, they had their own sacs. They had 1 sac but split by a membrane. That's right. Yeah. So they were split by a membrane, so they weren't sharing 1 sac. They were at least in their own separate sacs, but they were sharing 1 placenta. The next few scans were fine. They were measuring really well. Placenta was growing well at the 12-week one. So we had these big plans to reveal to everyone at Christmas. Started to not tell anyone apart from our parents. We needed to tell someone because we were our minds were going absolutely crazy, thinking like we only wanted 1 baby and we got 2. Like, what?
It was pretty great after trying for so long to have an extra success on the first IVF was...
Yeah. Well, just having success in general for the first IVF. We were very lucky and very blessed that it did work because so many of our friends that had done IVF, they went through rounds and rounds and are still going through rounds. Some of them of IVF that have been unsuccessful, and it's hard to do that and go through that. So we were very, very lucky.
I think that's something we didn't actually touch on much, about how many more couples than I ever realised were going through fertility programs, and even a few couples that I knew and had no idea that they had doing that sort of thing.
Because it's not talked about, but we'll touch more on it in our IVF one.
Sure.
Then we went off to our private obstetrician. It's the same one that we went through with Addie. And she did our first couple of scans, had it booked in, had an estimated date that we'd get the girls out. She picked up that they were girls quite early on, but didn't want to say it officially, because she picked up with Addie that Addie was a girl as well, I think at our 14-week scan or something. So we trusted her judgment that they were girls. Justin didn't like that very much.
I wasn't unhappy with it, but I would have been pretty excited to have a couple of twin boys running around.
Yeah. But then at our 16-week scan, she actually picked up that there was a discordant growth between the girls. The twin two, which is Riley, started to get a bit small. Her head was quite small compared to it. It wasn't a huge difference.
At the stage, they were still measuring in millimetres.
Yeah,
so
it
didn't seem like a big difference to us, but she was quite concerned that there was any difference at all. So she referred us straight off to King Eddie's, which is the local women's and children's hospital, not children's, women's and infant hospital in Perth.
So any high risk pregnancy gets sent there, or if you have a baby that is unwell and requires respiratory support or something else is going on, they get sent to King Eddie's. We were put under the gold team at King Eddie's and had the best obstetrician there that we could have ever asked for, really. It was kind of a blessing in disguise that we did go there. Each time we went for a scan, the discordant growth kept going up. Because of this, I was told from 16 weeks I was not allowed to train anymore. I was not allowed to do anything that took blood flow away from twin two, or well, both girls really, because of the insertion point and size of the cord for Riley. If I worked too hard and my blood was pumping to my muscles or to somewhere else in my body, it would take away from them and they would suffer. She had marginal insertion of her cord at the edge of the placenta, so her cord was literally at the very edge of the placenta, not getting much nutrients. Hannah's was smack bang in the middle. She was fine. There was no issues with Hannah at all the whole time. She was measuring really well, actually, a little bit bigger than the estimated date and size, whereas Riley was always a few weeks behind. These scans then were weekly scans, so we were going once a week. They jumped up to twice weekly, and then every second day by 25 weeks. Every scan we'd sit there in the waiting room reading these hopeful, positive stories on the wall outside of her office or her scan room. And it gave us a lot of hope that the girls will be okay. There was bigger differences than what they was measuring. There was other stories, but it was still hard to sit there. I would sit there and feel sick. My hands were clammy. Like you never knew what was going to happen for that scan, because our obstetrician said she didn't know what was going to happen to Riley, that we could come in one day and Riley not be there, not have a heartbeat. And that was really hard to hear, that there was a high chance that Riley could have passed away in utero.
So we decided a little way into that process, because we hadn't told anyone that we were having twins, we decided we should tell everyone early while we still had twins.
Yeah.
So we sent out our little Christmas cards early to everyone and let everyone know, and a little while after that, so everyone was pretty excited, but you know, we told them why we wanted to let them know early, and then a little while after that, when things were looking a bit even more grim, we thought, well, let's not call them, you know, twin 1 and twin 2. Let's tell everyone their names so that, you know, it sort of gives them an identity.
Just in case anything was to happen to either of them, we wanted them to know that we knew them by name, not by twin 1, twin 2, that they had an identity.
Or the big one and the little one.
Big one and the little one.
We kept telling people, oh, your big one's doing well, little one's not so much.
So it was nice to
So it was nicer to call them by their name. More personal, we thought. Which I think helped in a way to call them by name, but also would have sort of made it harder if, you know, we were to lose her. It would have been not that it'd be any easier if we were still calling it a little.
Felt more connected having their names chosen and spoken to.
Maybe that connection helped Riley. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, so
it helped me.
Definitely. Yeah. 16 weeks stop training. I had to stop work at 20 weeks after being put on light duties at work at 19 weeks. I was at home pretty much resting, feet up, laying on my left side, like trying not to do anything, eating a lot of protein shakes, all the suggestions that they said to try and help Riley gain weight. Nothing really helped, and I think the biggest discordant growth along the pregnancy was 55% difference at one point. That was the biggest, and that was really scary to hear, I suppose, as well. Like everything else, every scan was hard to hear. But every scan, the heartbeat was still there. I still felt her moving until the last scan, really, where the obstetrician found she was very quiet. This is Riley. She was very quiet. She monitored her for probably a good 10 minutes, didn't she? Monitoring her, seeing how much she was moving, how her blood flow was going. Her blood flow by then was absent reverse diastolic flow.
But the reverse diastolic flow, so as the blood was flowing from the placenta, it wasn't continuing in a forward motion. So it would come forward and then back, and then forward and back. So she was only getting a small portion of fresh blood.
Absolutely.
Per heartbeat.
Minute. So she was sending all her blood to her brain and her heart, and less to her limbs and other organs. Her organs were pretty much at one point looking like they were shutting down. Wasn't her gut looking like it was shutting down? It started to not look good on the screen.
Yeah, so the effect was essentially showing that there was low oxygenation in the rest of her body, except for her brain, which is a natural thing for you know, a fetus to do. After watching or observing Riley for so long, I think we both sort of knew that was going to be the day, if there was ever going to be a day. And we'd always told her and each other that we would try and give them both the best crack at it.
We didn't want to sacrifice one for the other. We wanted to give them both a chance at surviving, and if they had that fight in them, if they were meant to be here, they would, and if it wasn't their time, they wouldn't be here. Pretty much is what we said from early on. But before that scan on the Tuesday, we went in on the Friday for a scan, and things weren't looking too good then, so she decided to give me the steroid injections for their lungs. So I had one on the Friday and the Saturday. Riley was a bit quiet on that Saturday, so we actually got her to check them again, but she was fine. There was still a heartbeat, she was still moving around. Then our next scan was that Tuesday, and that was the day that she said, yep, I think today's the day. And I think we kind of knew it from Friday's scan anyway, that it would be coming any day now. That day would be booked in.
The aim we had was to get to 28 weeks. They sort of said 28 weeks is where you've got a good chance of survival for both.
Yeah.
Any earlier than that, and they really didn't know full well for both of them
what was going to happen.
They thought Hannah would have a good chance, but then she wasn't under stress, so her body wasn't trying to fast track its development, whereas Riley was trying to fast track her lungs and that sort of thing, but being so small and so sick, she didn't have a great chance either.
No.
So 28 weeks was the aim.
And then it went to 26 weeks, and we were one day off that. So the girls were born at 25 weeks and 6 days. So at that gestation, I was actually the same size as I was belly-wise with Addie at 40 weeks and 2 days. So if we went any longer, I would have been massive. Those scans were really hard to go to. Each time we'd walk out crying, pretty much. I think every scan I'd walk out crying. Some scans there would be no talking in the room, and we didn't know how to take that, whether or not that was a good thing, a bad thing, what was going on. No one said anything one scan, and we're like, what's going on? Is the baby's okay? But the next scan they told us, no, it wasn't that good, but they didn't want to say too much, and it was really hard to go through that after going through the pain of IVF, IUI, secondary infertility. This whole new thing was just thrown in our face. As well, we got to talk to one of the leading paediatricians before the girls came along, and he pretty much said, if Riley didn't weigh at least 400 grams, there was no chance at survival. There was none. Like they wouldn't give her that chance, pretty much, wasn't it? It was just there's limited.
He pretty much said their equipment didn't go that small.
Yeah.
So he said he pretty much said you had to cross your fingers. She's bigger than 400 grams, or there's not much they can do.
And for the last scan, she was estimated to weigh 440 grams. So she was just over estimated weight by the scan, and Hannah weighed 940 by estimate of that ultrasound. So we knew Hannah would be okay weight-wise, but Riley just skimmed in pretty much by that 40 grams. We're pretty lucky that when she was weighed when she was born, she was 5'15" with the tube in and all the attachments. So really she probably would have been under 500. But the weight they went on was with the intubation tube and everything in, which was 515 grams. It's actually really hard to talk about it. It feels like it was only yesterday, but it also feels like it never happened in a way. But it did happen. It's really hard to explain. that we know we've just been through this hard journey, and it was such a hard journey. But now there is light at the end of the tunnel. Both girls are home together finally. They're happy, they're healthy. Riley's improving. Hannah is huge. She's thriving at home. But it always haunts me at the back of my mind what we have been through and what the girls have been through and how much they've fought to be here. We are very lucky and very blessed that they are both here. We know quite a few twin mums and dads now that have lost one in pregnancy or along the way.
Probably more than half of the couples we know with twins have lost one.
And I couldn't... My heart just goes to them. Because we were almost in that situation while they were inside me and while they were in NICU a couple of times as well. We almost nearly lost them. One or both of them at times. So I'm so grateful that they're both here with us at home, completing our family.
Maybe completing it.
Completing our family.
I suppose in this video we're trying to highlight how really anyone can struggle with infertility. Even if we had Addie naturally, and we weren't expecting to have fertility problems after her, and you get a lot of good, people meaning well, and they'll ask you about how it's going and
are you pregnant yet?
Sort of make light of it, and
happen.
You know they mean well, but
it'll happen when it's meant to happen.
Yeah.
Stop trying.
Sort of stings a bit. So I guess we do want to highlight how people mean well, but it is a pretty sensitive subject, and we would probably encourage people to be more open about it if they are having problems, because at least if you're open about it, people know it's a sore spot and not to make light of it. And also how unexpected and what a roller coaster having to go through, having a couple of babies delivered so early, and the whole pregnancy for them was, more than half of it, we had this overshadowing
unknown.
Yeah, it was just doubt.
Cloud of unknown.
So it was really a difficult time.
Be nice to people. You never know what they're going through, pretty much.
Yeah.
I encourage people to share their journey, because so many people are going through their own things, their own issues, their own stresses, but you never know how many other people are actually going through the same thing as you are until you share it. And I found this whole new community on Instagram, a whole new community of mums and support that I wouldn't have had if I didn't share our journey. We'd probably still be locked up at home, which we are anyway, but like in our own little bubble, not sharing, not talking to anyone. Whereas now we are quite open. Now we've been through it, I want to encourage others to open up earlier than we did. Even though it is hard at the time, it really helps. And you are strong enough to get through whatever is thrown in your face, which is pretty much what I'm learning. As much as it hurts at the time, we've been through so much in the past year. Never thought we would go through any of it. But we're here. We have 2 beautiful girls to add to our family. And I love them to bits.